Ladies, gentlemen, and Glenn, hello everyone, and welcome to a long-awaited first Commissioner's Update for the 2024 season of the McGibblets Fantasy League. Out of Charlotte, North Carolina, I am Andrew Piper No Piping Chambers, and I am joined by my co-commissioner, who easily has the best flow in the league, Ethan Bingus Cook. Ethan, happy to have you, and very jealous of the team name.
It's called lettuce, bitch.
My bad.
Sick lettuce, bro. What? Sick lettuce. Like, you got some really dope lettuce going on right now. What are you even talking about?
Now, we are already 1 week into the 2024 season, so we do have a lot to cover, but before we dive into that, we do need to recap the results of last season. Your 2023 champion of the McGibblets Fantasy League was Jade's team, Trans Jade, who had an absolute roller coaster of a season. After starting the season 1-7 after the first 4 weeks, Jade started wheeling and dealing to completely turn his team's season around. In fact, in a championship matchup against Brett's team, which was a very close matchup, only 2 of the players he started in the final week were players that he drafted. So it just goes to show that sometimes you just got to make a deal to put yourself and put your team at the next level. As far as the Losers Trophy, and we don't really need to get into that at all, do we?
Oh, I think we do. But mostly because it was you versus me. You and me in the lovely toilet bowl. We went head-to-head for 2 weeks. You ended up getting the shit trophy, and you're going to get our lovely little dinosaur ball sack trophy that I think still lives at Glenn's house. But it's yours. It's all yours.
Okay, but in my defense, my first overall pick, Nick Chubb, had his knee twist off like a chicken wing earlier.
Stop making excuses.
You are so full of shit.
Find me a river.
You're trash. You ought to go live in an ash can.
You're so full of shit, you're gonna float away.
Move this man!
Mike Williams died again?
Boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
As a quick rules refresher for 2024, same as last year, this league is half PPR with an extra game each week against the median. That's the same as last year. However, there are 2 important changes to call out. The first change this year is the playoff structure has changed slightly. Instead of having the championship games span 2 weeks, the championship will only be 1 week, and the playoffs will start a week later on week 15. We made this change because there are 6 NFL teams that are on bye week 14, and the majority of the league all agreed that it didn't make sense to start the playoffs on a week where a lot of teams may have some of their best players on bye. The other more substantial change this year was the implementation of keepers. This season, each team had the option to keep one of their players from last season, with the main caveat being that they would have to draft that player 1 round earlier than they did last season. Any free agent or waiver wire pickups could be kept with the 7th round pick, and every team can choose to keep that player for a maximum of 2 additional seasons, understanding that the player obviously would have to be drafted 1 round earlier each year. Now, since this is the first year that we're doing this, everyone's good to go. And realistically, if everyone wanted, following this season, all of their players will still be eligible to be kept for that final season for next year if they want to keep those same players. For example, this year, we've got some big names being kept and some great value coming off the draft board based off of those keepers. Nate was able to draft Breece Hall this year in the 4th round, and Brett drafted Kyron Williams this year in the 7th, because he was able to pick him up off of waivers.
Yeah, and Andrew, you were able to lock in Nico Collins for only a late pick. So, I mean, it's all good around the board for a lot of different teams. But more importantly for this season, based off of the draft and based off of week 1, are there any teams that are catching your eye or, that you think are going to be looking to make a big splash this season?
Yeah, I think I've said this pretty much every season, but I really like Brett's team. He has a good balance of some young studs and guys who might be a bit older who have proven success. Stephon Diggs has a new home in Houston. Everyone was wondering how that was going to work out. Week 1, he got 2 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp still looks like Matt Stafford's favorite target, and now that Puka Nakua's out, Cooper Kupp is going to feast. And then Joe Mixon rushed for over 150 yards and a touchdown in week 1. So I definitely think Brett's team has a lot of talent. It's just going to be important to see how those guys are able to carry that momentum throughout the whole season. But what about you? Who's a team that you really like this season that you think could make a good run to the playoffs?
Yeah, I was actually looking at quite a few teams, but the one that I locked in on was obviously going to be Thomas's Forget About Dre's team. Because you just got to love that Mike Evans, and you got to love that Derrick Henry. Just 2 of my favorites. But, I mean, it's also looking good with some depth on his bench, so I got to go with Thomas.
Yeah, we got a lot of great rosters this year, and it should be a fun season to watch. Now, for these videos, we don't know how often we'll be making these, and things always seem to come up and get in the way, but we will do our best to keep them coming as often as we can. For my co-commissioner, Ethan Bingus Cook, thank you for joining us to kick off the 2024 season of the McGibblets Fantasy League. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, I know this cat and his name is Bingus. Yeah, this cat, his name is Bingus. I love this